got enough beer for this today. I'm going to run out of liquid.
I'm really tempted to run next door and grab a beer.
Well,
That's how warm it is.
do you want to? Feel free before we
I'm
start.
tempted. No, I better not. Better not. It'd be good.
Gonna be good. What are you going to be good for?
I don't know yet. Because I'll just get angry.
You're just going to get angry. And what? And we wouldn't like Dez when he's angry.
I wish that was true. He's a big teddy bear.
Dorks Down Under.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 3 of season 2. We are cracking on for these now. We're actually getting into the rhythm days for a change.
I know. It's bizarre.
I know. I'm enjoying this. I'll say it's a bit of a weird experience that we're cracking on so well.
We're actually doing really well.
So anyway, I'll say this week we're gonna discuss our main topic is going to be movie monsters. But before that, before we get around to that, I want to say obviously there wasn't much to talk about this week. And I shouldn't have said that aloud to Des at all, because
No.
Lord forbid, Auckland had a severe weather event.
Oh my god. Because when you said that, you went, there's flooding. I was like, bro, we had flooding here that the Brenong River broke its banks. My mum's house was like shoulder height in water. And I was like, yeah, but to be fair, it was literally just around the banks. And it was,
Yeah,
I think they called it a 1 in 200 year flood.
yeah,
Then Jordan told me this, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I went on Instagram, and yeah,
yes. So basically, for those ladies and gentlemen who obviously aren't up to date, Auckland had a severe weather event, which basically involved two storms colliding, one from the east and one from the west, and basically they funneled all their water down into the Northland, which was fine, absolutely fine. Because normally, a heavy rain is considered anywhere between, I think they said 6 to 8 mils an hour here, and I'll tell you now, when it is that, Auckland's starts flooding anyway because the infrastructure can't keep up. Apparently, at between 6 and 7 o'clock, we had 71 mils in the space of 1 hour, and it started
Jesus,
raining heavily from 12 o'clock. So at
that's
6 o'clock,
insane.
it ramped up.
Just in case.
And yes, so basically, luckily, Ellie and her mum were in central of the Northern Island at the time because they were going to go on a trip, and that got cancelled the next day, so they got themselves back. Luckily, everyone's safe. But literally that night, I think I probably only got about 6 hours kip because the water towards our back garage door where our rental was about 2 or 3 mil off coming over. It
I
was
can just see Jordan out the back going, go, no, go, don't come over.
it literally. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the last major weather thing we had, yeah, it got it started filling up this drain that we've got in the back. Is crap, and I've already told the landlord about it. And it was, but it was about 2 or 3 inches that time. And this time when I went and opened the door, and I'm like, ooh, please don't get any heavier. So I
Jesus
at that point at
Christ.
night, it was like 9 o'clock at night, and I thought I am not going to start moving everything out of this garage on the off chance that it does, because there's so much stuff, and I was just like, oh, I just can't be bothered with it at that point in that time because I'd already had a couple of beers in me, and I was just like, hey, I'm done. If it
He's
happens,
like,
it
I'm 6
happens.
beers in, I don't care.
But it was just one of those things. Of course, then I woke up and I was like, I kept waking up throughout the night, and I was just like, I'll just go check. So I must have, according to my, luckily according to my smartwatch that my dad got me for Christmas, I think it worked out. I had
Ooh.
6 hours sleep in total. But when you look at the pattern for the night, it's like, and it's deep sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, wake up, walk, deep sleep, light sleep. It's just like it's just this
That's
repeating pattern that keeps
I
waking
haven't
me
got
up.
mine on. I must have forgotten to put mine on. But those smartwatches are the weirdest thing 'cause it's like you've had 9.5 hours sleep. I'm like, really?
Mm,
Then why do I feel like shit? And I have a look, and it's like you're awake for 4.5 hours. You were in light sleep for like 2.5 hours, and then you were in REM sleep for 23 minutes. I was like, what? If I'm
that's why you're
awake
tired.
for 4 hours, I didn't sleep for nine. Fuck off.
But yeah, no. So it was a bit of a harrowing night, and yeah, it was, and then of course And then it was just funny speaking to everyone the next day, and like people, I sent videos to my dad of obviously Auckland Airport and the lower ground terminal for the international terminal was completely flooded. That was shocking.
The video that I sent you, there was a shopping. It looked like a supermarket that like
Oh, the
three
pack and
quarters of the
save.
shelves
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
water.
Yeah, the pack and saves. Yeah, there's so many areas that go. In Auckland Domain, which is where the big museum is, it has a
Yeah.
beautiful open rolling hills and big massive field area that became a lake, and it still is a lake.
Nice.
People have
That's
been
nothing
kayaking
like
on
the
it. It's
Auckland
that.
lake.
It's got a good like 8 to 10 inches of depth. People.
Jesus Christ, that's hilarious. I won't lie. I won't lie. That's one thing that I do like. Like I know that we've had a few floods in like Victoria and obviously Queensland and Brisbane had a few the other year, and you just got people just like kayaking or riding jet skis and having an absolute ball. And I'm just like, it is funny because you look at the houses and they're probably about halfway up the front door, so you know they're deep enough.
Yeah.
And there's just people riding jet skis around and stuff. And to be fair, some of the people on the jet skis are actually trying to save people and they're trying to bring people in.
Yeah.
It's just, and some of them are just literally just having fun because why not? There's nothing else just you can do.
I saw a great TikTok yesterday where someone was put how other countries respond to intense, severe, flooding, and it's obviously footage of films where it's like, but the movie the flood at Bali and all this jazz, and people are running away and all this jazz, and it's like, and then there's New Zealand. You see all these people who are literally like on kayaks and running and having a swim, and it's just like,
Oh,
yeah, okay, all right, it looks bad, but,
I know.
But yeah, it was
somebody else
amazing
said that.
seeing some of this stuff, man. But yeah,
Oh, what was it? There was one guy where you could see it was flooded, and he's standing on what looks like a diving board. And he obviously dives into the water, and obviously because it's flooded, you can't see where the pool is, and he's doing laps. And I'm just like, oh my god, trust us to do that. It's just so dumb.
It was as I said, it was a bit of a harrowing night, but we got luckily Ellie got, obviously Ellie's trip got cancelled the next day because the rain travelled all the way down, and I'm glad they did come back yesterday because there were severe weather warnings last night for there. So they probably would have been stuck. But yeah, there was like seeing some of the TikToks, man. There was a farm at Pukekohe, which is about 20 minutes north from where I'm going to be moving to. Some guy came out to see how the floods were doing, and suddenly noticed there was all these onions coming downstream because basically the farms across the road a couple of a mile up, all the onions because they're getting ready to be picked. Had washed
Jesus
off,
Christ.
and it's just floating down the street, and it's like, yep. I mean, God forbid it was.
Honey, you got any onions? And you just see him open the door and just reach down into the water and pick one up and close the window, continue chopping.
Oh God, I
man.
mean, it is terribly sad for those who have been severely affected because there are homes that have flooded nearly all the way to the ceiling. There's been big some of these houses have had major slips and stuff like that, and
just be mindful we're making light or we're having fun with it mainly because so we don't cry.
We are. I mean, I've not been affected, but I don't know anyone. I've known a couple of people out west who've had a room damaged and stuff like that. My neighbour across the road, actually, his garage got flooded and he went through to his eldest son who lives on the bottom floor. And their rumpus, well, I call it a rumpus room. It's kind of their new sort of den area that he's been working on.
Yeah.
And it creeped in there as well. So, it was kind of like, it kind of sucks.
Like my mum's currently living with my grandmother who's 95, 96 now. And I won't lie, like I spoke to her on Friday and she was like, she goes, the house is almost ready. I'm so thankful. Like she goes, for 30 minutes. It's just my nonna, who is very headstrong Italian woman who just refuses to go to a home, thinks that she doesn't need to. But then my mum's even offered, why don't I get you like a nurse on call so she can come out and help?
Yeah.
That doesn't work. She's like, no. But then now that my mum's living there, supposedly she just barks orders. She's constantly at her. And mum's like, you do realise that this is what a nurse on call does.
I was about to say, this is like, it's like when if you ever have to move back into your parents' place, even for a little bit, it's like, oh God, I can't wait to be out of my own space again. Because we had it when we moved here from the UK. When we moved here from the UK, we lived with my mum So obviously, until we found somewhere, and I thank my mum profusely for having us. But when we found this spot after 4 weeks, it's like, oh.
Well, that's what happened when my dad passed. When my dad passed away in, I think, 2009 now. Jesus, I should remember that. I obviously moved back home because my mum and brother and sister were pretty beaten up by it. So I moved back home to take care of the family. So I was doing the cooking and stuff. And I was there, I think, 18 months. And by the end of the 18, like, just to be fair, by the end of the first week, I was ready to kill all of them. But by the end of the 18 months, my mum, yeah, seriously, my mum comes in and she's just like, I know, it wouldn't have been good. I could have just went, I blamed it on the grief, but no. But yeah, I remember my mum come in and she's like, oh, you've done enough. No, you don't have to be here anymore, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, okay, cool. And she told me this on the Friday. On the Saturday, I went, all right, cool. I'm moving out next weekend. She's like, wait, what? She's like, you've already found a house. I was like, yeah, I literally made a phone call and then I moved out. And I found a house on Saturday and I moved in the following week. And my mum was just like, oh, that was quicker than I thought it was. I was like, yes, it was.
There are reasons why it's going to be expedited. Yes. No, I mean, God forbid. Mate. We love parents. Don't get me wrong. We all love our parents, but dear Lord, living with parents again when you're an adult is a nightmare.
Yeah,
I felt sorry for my brother when he came back from New Zealand and he was looking for somewhere to live. And obviously, he crashed with me because it was easy. I lived just outside of London. He was going to get work in London. It's like, yeah, come stay with us. And I'm pretty sure I was driving him up the wall because I'll be honest, I'm a little OCD in cleaning, apart from the sacred space. This is the one room I never keep fully clean because I don't care. It's my office, and I never have.
See, Cherish doesn't get that. Like, I'll clean the bathrooms, I'll clean the kitchen, I'll scrub down everything. I love everything to be clean, but my own room or my room in my office, and I mean, especially the bad thing about the office is I do get a lot of stuff, so stuff just kind of gets thrown into a corner. Yep. But like that one, I'm like, I don't mind if that's messy because it's organized chaos and I know where things are, and I know that that is my space. But if it's public space, like if it's a bathroom, if it's things, I'm like, I'm anal retentive. I'm like, it has to be clean.
Oh man, yeah, no, God forbid. But anyway, I think that's enough of a catch. Oh, actually, no, that's my catch up. How was your day, Dez? How was your week? How was your week?
Well, Jordan did get a phone call from me yesterday, and I've decided that.
Can we call it a phone call? More of a rant. Let's say a rant.
Oh mate, we'll say a rant, but it was technically a phone call. He asked me if I looked pretty in my suit because I was at a wedding yesterday. Please note that if anyone invites me to the wedding, it's going to be no. All weddings have now been cancelled, and I refuse to go any more weddings. Because as you guys know, if you listen to this podcast, we had a bit of an ordeal when we went into Numbers, where I did all this stuff. Then when I went to Diana's wedding, there was also quite a few things that I did. And then this wedding, I get a phone call at about 10 o'clock saying, can you come to my house an hour early? And I was like, yep, cool, not a problem. Thinking that he needed something. I get there, and it was because he couldn't figure out how to tie a tie. Yeah, I know. And so I'm like, so he hands me this. He's like, can you tie this tie? So I tie the tie, hand it back to him in about 15 seconds. And then that was it. He's like, oh, sweet, that's all I needed. I was like, oh, okay. And then, so I'm standing in the kitchen talking to himself and his bride, and then all of a sudden she comes in and her, I think it's like 125-year-old necklace has a knot in it somehow because it's just been kind of thrown into a jewelry box. Yeah. So here I am with this thing that is more delicate than a newborn baby. And I'm trying to undo this thing. And I'm like, I feel like if I put my nails up with too much pressure, I'm going straight through this thing. Like, it was so delicate and so fine. It's like, okay, cool. Then their wedding car doesn't rock up. So they're going to have to send out another one to the point where, in theory, the photo... And then the Parks Victoria lady calls Jeff and goes, oh, your 3 o'clock wedding, it needs to be 4:15 now. So I then start ringing people to let them know to come later. Then the car eventually rocks up an hour late, so that was fine. We meet the photographer, all good. We set up... And the wedding's already set up in the nice little section as was been told to. Parks Victoria lady comes and goes, oh, FY, that's not meant to be here. We're now moving it over there. So myself and I think it's a Melbourne event company who are amazing. They came back and actually helped us move it all. And then I'm like, sweet. And I sit down and I'm like, fuck it, I'm not moving. And then the Parks Victoria lady comes over to Jeff and says, oh, because it's over 30 degrees, you need a heat management plan.
Would you
And
care
we're
to
like,
explain what a heat management plan is?
Well, to be fair, Jeff and I looked at it and went, so what do we need? Are we going to need to write like a 3-page document? What are we going to do? There's umbrellas available. There's all these things. So they're like, no, what you need is you need water available. So I've driven from Werribee Mansion into Werribee to grab a 12-pack of water. Mind you, it's hot. It's off the shelf. And that's fine, as long as they've got water. Mind you, 200 meters from where the wedding is, there's a toilet. And I'm like, if people are really dying, I will cup water and make a human chain and feed them water if it's that bad. But no. So bought 12 water, bought a freezer bag, bought it back, had it sitting there. Nobody touched it. Didn't do anything. It was just a blue bag that sat there. And I'm like, fine, whatever.
These things happen.
All good. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then obviously Jordan rang me in between saying, do you look pretty? And I'm like, I'm sick of weddings. All weddings can fuck off. I don't want to go to a wedding ever again. And then we made it to the reception. And the cake comes out and they put it in this really awkward spot. And then the problem was it had like this really nice silicone base so that it wouldn't get knocked. Problem was where it wasn't where it needed to be, and the photographer wanted to take photos and couldn't. So then we're trying to move this thing, but it has a silicone base. And after watching one of the lovely Filipino ladies try to lift this thing off and then watch it give way and almost end up on her, I've moved it outside so we could take photos, moved it back inside. Then we've had to move it into the kitchen. I'm like, okay, cool. Then one of the little kids, I didn't tell Jordan this bit because Jordan at this point was, I was
crying
at the reception. One of the little kids is then running around the dance floor and stuff, being chased by one of the other ones, and runs into one of the trestle tables, and cuts a small thing in his eyebrow. So I'm trying to console this kid. I've trust me. I'm like, oh my god. So it got better. So Jordan was already dying, so he hasn't even heard this bit. One of the little kids has cut just above his eyebrow from running into a trestle table. So luckily they had a first aid kit, so I've made sure to do that. And then it was still bleeding, so I was like, that's fine. And I put a little bit of super glue on it, closed it up, all good.
Oh, we pulled out them WW2 like, World War skills there.
Seriously, if we took them to hospital, they're just going to use their super glue anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. But the problem is throughout the night, the little kid was doing this because it hurt.
Yeah.
And obviously super glue, as you know, beads a little bit.
Correct.
So then he started picking at it. So when everybody's saying goodbye, he then does this, and it starts bleeding again. So we had to do it, and then I had to put a Band-Aid on his head so he wouldn't pick at the bloody thing. And then I was like, okay. And then Jeff's car, the one that he'd already waited like an hour for, was due to pick him up afterwards and take him back to his house. And of course, the car that he had got had been booked, and they forgot that they had to come back and pick him up. So then I obviously loaded the dress, the bride, everything into my little car, and then drove him home. And then by the time I got home, I was like, sweet, 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I'm like, that was my week in a nutshell. I hate weddings. All weddings suck. And I'm never getting married, and I'm never going to any wedding.
So yeah,
sorry,
Des, I've been meaning to tell you that I'm gonna have a wedding renewal thing with Elle, and just I need you to come just for.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I'm like, that's it. It's over.
For those of you who aren't watching the vidcast, Des decided to quickly leave the call.
just hang up. I'm like, I'm just hung up. Screw this.
It's all right. We've already advised Des that when he gets his next one, the next wedding invite that comes through, he immediately goes online and he books a flight to come see me. And he goes, "Oh no, I've had this trip planned for months. I'm sorry, I can't come.
Refund it.
I can't. It's non-refundable tickets. I'm going over to New Zealand to see a long-time friend, and we're gonna go hang out and stuff." He's like, "Oh, really wish I could come."
I'm just.
If anyone's got any more good excuses, like, let us know via our socials, because we'd love to hear them.
Oh, please, because it's just, like, I get it that. I mean, like Jeff, who's a friend that I've had for probably 20-something years. Yeah, love him to pieces, and his bride is absolutely gorgeous. And during it, they did find out that I was supposedly single, and being a giant Filipino one, there was also four
God.
girls that were also thingo.
Uh-huh.
So it was
Was it like blind?
like having
Was it like?
40,
Did they set it up like
45
blind dates? And you had your three options, and they asked you, and you got to ask questions. So number
Well,
two,
I walked
what
in,
was your-
and they did, and I walked in, and the oldest sister, who's probably in her 60s, I would say,
Yeah.
he's like, Derek, you sit here. And I have quite a beautiful Filipino girl on one side, quite a beautiful Filipino girl on one side. And then there was one on either side of them. And then they went, oh, are you single? Yes. And then the two on the outer, so the two next to me stayed, but the two on the outer side moved. And then two other young Filipino girls were put next to me. And I'm like, okay. And anytime I talk,
this is a
anytime I go
good
up and
thing.
down.
A good thing, Des.
No, because I don't want to get married now. It's done. I'm like, I'm sick of it.
No,
Like,
but
it's
this
all
is the
over.
thing,
I don't
Des.
wanna
When you
do
get
it.
married, you can't be the guy that fixes it. You've got to have someone there who does it.
You say that, but you know that it's probably not going to happen that way, and that's the problem. I'm like,
Well,
"Argh." Like, I want that
you
to
could
happen, but chances are
relinquish
probably still will.
control for 5 minutes, Des. Just 5 minutes.
Well,
Relinquish
I
control.
do, but then the problem is I'll be like, can you go do this? And they wouldn't be able to do it, and then they're like, oh no, we can't do it. Can you help us? And then I'd end up doing it.
No,
I'm
I
like,
could do
God
it.
damn it.
I could run your show for you. You know that.
Oh man, to be fair, like
Your
for anybody
face
listening, so
just
it's been, I
dropped
think
there.
it's-
He's like,
Oh, no, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's the fakest
I don't know.
smile of
Like,
yeah. It's fine. I get
I
it,
think
Des.
you
Don't worry.
could. I think you could, but I'm just like,
No,
I
no.
just don't like. It's more the idea of thinking of actually attending a wedding again just kills my soul. So in 3 months, I've attended 3 weddings, and I swear to God, I think it would have just been easier if I had have just set them all up, because I'm like, no,
Oh,
I'm done.
but yeah.
So yes, weddings, all weddings. Even if Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman got married, and I would want to watch that, and I got the invite, and it was only like 100 people got invited, and I
Yeah.
was one of those people, I'd still be like, as much as I want to go, bro, I'm going to New Zealand. Fuck it.
You would
I don't know
hang
if I
on,
could do
hang
it.
on. You would turn down Daddy Reynolds to wedding invitation.
Daddy Reynolds and Uncle you better believe it. That's how much I hate weddings.
That's
Right
that's,
now.
That's a bold
That's
statement.
that's a hatred for
bold
weddings.
Statement.
I'm just like, no. But yes,
Oh,
so
right.
that was my yesterday.
That was
But
your
yeah,
yesterday.
when I was first telling Jordan, because Jordan's obviously seen me at Numbers wedding and the
Yes.
stuff that I did, because the first thing he did is he just went, here's a beer. As soon as I walked in the door after Numbers
Which-
wedding, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and then you pretty much necked it. I said, "Hang on," and I got you a second one. It's like, there you
Yeah, I
go.
know. It was one of those days, and I was like, God.
It was one of those days,
So,
and
yes.
you're thankful you have a good friend who knows how to
Oh mate.
assess the
least just a-
situation and immediately provide alcohol to the right level.
Yeah, or at the very least, just has cold beer that he can just throw at me until I'm somewhat better.
Until you're somewhat better and somewhat
just
not
like,
wanting to
my
kill
God.
someone. Yes, I know.
Oh,
No,
but
no.
it was funny because Jeff does call me MacGyver, because he does say that I have a habit of being able to fix 90% of things. Like, we had when we worked in commercial kitchens together, we had several machines break that I managed to kind of jerry together,
All right.
including one which was kind of funny. It was a blender and the button had broken, so what we were able to do was pull it off and hardwire it so that it was always on. So the problem was rather
Just
than hitting
flick
the
it onto
button
the
on
power.
the front,
Yeah.
you just flicked it on at the power.
Yep.
The funniest thing was it stayed like that for, I think it was 15 months.
Yeah.
And then Jeff called me, because at that time I'd already left. And Jeff called me, he goes, guess what happened? I was like, what? He's like, we had obviously the inspector come in and do that. And we passed with flying colours until one of the guys used the blender. I was like, oh, don't tell me the blender shut out the power or something. He's like, no, we haven't got a new one since you fixed it. And supposedly it's unsafe because it means that anybody can just plug it in and it could automatically start and do that. So they ended up being forced to buy a new blender that's about $900. And I was just like, I didn't realize you guys were still using it. I thought we got rid of it. He's like, no, it just worked. So we just used it. I'm
Hey,
like,
if it ain't broke, it's
but
fine.
it was broke. That was the
I
problem.
know it was broke, but you
and
fixed it, and it's fine.
To be
And
fair,
was
though, it
fine.
was a fucking death trap.
Oh
Like
my
that,
God,
because commercial machinery, especially in kitchens, is like ridiculous. Like, you know how sometimes you put nuts in a blender and it takes forever, or it doesn't blend them. This one, you just put it in and it just becomes sand, and you're like,
Yeah,
this
no,
is.
no,
I think it was like a 3,000 watt or 2,000 watt one. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, because I grew up working, because obviously my mum she was a chef, and then she calls herself a cook, but she had her own restaurant, and then she ran pubs and ran golf courses and stuff like that. So the fact is, I've been round industrial equipment. I learned early on that
Don't put your hands in shit.
when the thing says blend for 5 minutes, reduce that by 5. Reduce that down to like 30 seconds, because if you blend it for longer than 30 seconds, it's a powder, and you need texture. So because like, Mom, can I just make this? Yeah, just remember it's all commercial. Yeah. Dear Lord.
It says blend for 30 seconds. You're like, nope, pulse once.
Pulse once.
Damn it, too fine. Like seriously.
Damn, it's super fine now. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, can I just say it?
I'm sure Jordan will use it. I'm sure Jordan will use me saying I hate weddings, and even if you Jackman and they got married, as
I'll have your invite.
As the catch little video.
I'll have your invite.
I would give it to you. Like,
yeah, I'm about to say
now. Even if they went, we invited Derek because we needed someone to fix stuff, I'd still be like, there you go, Jordan.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
And I'd come over to your house and I'd borrow your car and I'd go to Hobbiton by myself.
No, you wouldn't. You'd take Eddie. No,
I would.
You would.
Oh, but if Eddie stays home, hell's yeah, me and Eddie will go there. That'd be sick.
Oh no, I look forward to taking you. In fact, I'm going in April. No, May. I'm going in May. I've got a friend coming over from the UK, and I said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, have a look, because if you want to do anything like the Waitomo Glowworms or Hobbiton, I need to book tickets." And he immediately looked them up and responded and said, "Yeah, book them." I was like,
"Yeah,
no, those are examples. No, I want them." It's like,
yeah.
All right, okay, we're
I
going to them.
That one.
I want that one. But yeah, so I'm going in. I'm going in May. Can't wait. I'm planning on picking up another ceramic mug, because I've got the ceramic steins, and they're
that's
brilliant
cool.
to drink out of. Like, it's the ones that you see in the movie where
where
no, it's not where the dwarf. It's in the first Lord of the Rings movie when they turn up at the prancing pony, the little pony, the prancing pony.
The prancing pony, yeah.
And they all get this little ceramic mug until Philly. No, what's his name? I can't remember now.
Pippin.
When Pippin comes over and he says, "What's that?" It's a pint.
That's right.
So he gets the pint, the massive one, and these are these little ones, and these are the little ones, and these are quite good. But they're really good for drinking cider out of, I find.
Well, I mean, while in France.
While in France. But yes. Anyway, should we get around to our main discussion for the thing?
And to be fair, Jordan's are probably going to be more serious. Mine's going to be like ridiculous.
I've got right. So basically, I'll explain the concept. So basically, what happened this week is, because obviously we were trying to think of what to talk about, and I think it was on Thursday or something. There was this ranker came out of the greatest movie monsters, and I was like, oh, I'll have a quick look, because I enjoy a good monster flick like most people do. This actually follows on from our discussion on the last podcast with the Sci-Fi Channel. But
I love the Sci-Fi Channel.
But
of course, something else.
But yeah,
there was something else that I saw. Oh, what was it? Oh, there was another one they bought out, like a stupid one, like I said, that was like, I think it was like a Top Gun one.
Oh God.
Oh, I can't remember. Anyway. I'm gonna find it.
But yeah, probably Ace Pilot or something like that. But anyway,
not surprised.
Anyway, I went onto this list, and immediately I'm scrolling down, and I'm like, this list is terrible. I was immediately, I know it's ranker, and I know it can move ever so slightly, and I've clicked on it today, and the top 5 are still pretty much the same. I think 1 and 2 have changed spots, but I was like looking through the entire list, and I'm like, this is awful. I do not agree with this list whatsoever. So I was like, Dez,
you're so not going to agree with mine then.
So I was like, Dez, we need to come up with our top 5 greatest movie monsters.
Oh, top 5? I thought it was top 10.
I know, but I was hard to choose 10. It was too.
Oh, okay.
But we can do 10. If you've got 10, I've got 2 honourable mentions quite happily. Sort of thing. I've got 2 honourable mentions. So I've got 7 technically, but I've just did the top 5. It was easier in my opinion.
I can give you the 5. The first 5 before we go into the top 5.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. So I'll just write. So this is this is the current list. The current list as of 5:10 New Zealand time. 5 on
let's not timestamp. Let's not timestamp it, but exactly this time and date.
yeah. But so number 1, they're saying is Godzilla at the moment, which fair play. Number 2 is Cthulhu, the ancient god of chaos.
Yeah.
Then
Well, that was supposedly in that. You remember that? Oh, what was it? It was that deep drilling weird one. Oh, what was it called? It was like a deep drilling show with that chick that was on Twilight.
Well, this is
That
the
was
thing.
supposed-
When they said movie
that was
monster,
supposed-
I was trying to think what movies it'd been in for a start off.
Yeah, no, this is the one. It's oh, what was it? It was
Underwater,
called, like,
a deep sea,
underwater.
a deep sea drilling operation appears to have stirred Cthulhu from his slumber.
Yeah, that's the one. It was
by a host of.
It's a great film if you've seen it.
Then the film never
great,
says
but
the
it's-
C word, with a giant monster at the bottom of the ocean with a face like an octopus and monstrous protrusions.
Yeah.
It could only be Cthulhu, sort of thing.
Yes.
So it's not Cthulhu, but apparently it is Cthulhu. Yeah, it's kind of
Well, that was a fan theory that it was technically Cthulhu.
So he was number 2. King Ghidorah's number 3. Understandable. The Kraken. And specifically they're going with the Kraken from Clash of the Titans, the original, as well, with the image. They've done the image, the like goofy ass looking thing. I mean, no offense. All right, the remake wasn't much better, but at least the Kraken looked more terrifying.
So I was thinking like Clash of the Titans, or even the Kraken from, I'm guessing, Pirates of the Caribbean. Didn't it have a Kraken at one point?
Yeah, no, the Davy Jones's beast was the Kraken. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
But you didn't get to see the whole
Clash
thing.
of the Titans.
That's the thing. I think that's what they're saying, is because you don't get to see it all. So.
I think it was Sam Worthington in Clash of the Titans had it.
Yeah. And then number 5 is King Kong. So that's their top 5.
Okay.
Top 5. So yeah, so that's where they got. Now, I'll tell you what. Do you want to do your list first, or do you want to do my list first? Is a question. I'm happy to.
Well, I mean, I can do 10 to 5.
You can do 10 to 5. All right, okay. You do your 10 to 5, and then I'll do my 2 honorable mentions. How about
that? So I had number 10. I had the Marshmallow Man, just because it brings me so much joy. It's not a great monster, but it just makes
Marshmallow Man.
I don't think it's anything. It's like it's just this giant 120 foot tall marshmallow that just kind of goes around banging things. There's nothing about it, but it's hard to see Marshmallow Man and not be brought joy. And the fact that it's kind of a monster, it's kind of like a funny monster where you're like, oh my god, there's a giant marshmallow, and then you see it smash buildings and stomp on people. And it's kind of funny. And to be fair, like, you just kind of look at it and you're like, I really want massive graham crackers and some chocolate just so I can make a giant Super Marshmallow Man s'mores. So it was number 10 because it was funny.
That is like one of my favorite scenes of Ghostbusters is when
it's good,
like,
is it not?
Choose the form of the strap. Right. The form has been chosen. I didn't choose. Did you choose?
Yeah,
what did you do, Ray? I didn't do anything. I tried to keep my mind blank, and then he just popped in. What did you do, Ray? It just happened to be there, Mr. Stay Puft.
Yeah.
That's the best thing ever. It was so good. Oh.
It is, and it's just ridiculous. And as a monster, it is just stupid. And for some reason, I really enjoy it, and I don't know why.
But to be fair, it's like in the latest one, what is it? Afterlife.
Reborn?
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Which I have to say, I really enjoyed. I actually really
it was amazing.
That was so good.
I really rated that.
That was so good.
As I think we've spoken about here, like, I do think the women got a really hard time with their remake of Ghostbusters. Yeah. It was written poorly. I think it was cast okay. Like, I was not against the cast, but it was just it was going. It really did just feel like a Saturday night skit show that went on for an hour and a half, and then it kind of sprinkled in a few things. Like, there were so many great bits in it that I think could have been taken, but it just kind of felt like it was just more of a skit. And I'm just like, I'm really sad, and that's why I think when Afterlife came out, people were like, nah.
Oh,
and then the very end of Afterlife, if you haven't seen it.
Oh, the ending's the best bit.
Is when you actually, if anybody hasn't seen it, just suck it up. Like, just turn off for 30 seconds, or just, I don't know. It's been out for several years.
It's good.
But obviously, the original Ghostbusters come back, including the grandson of Igor, is it?
No, the granddaughter. Yeah, it's the grandson and the granddaughter of Egon. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
then start holding it, and then you see this beautiful kind of ghost, kind of like shadowy figure of Egon behind it, also holding the gun as they're taking down this thing.
Yeah, because he passed
It was
away,
amazing.
and
It
then,
paid homage to the original, and I felt like even moving forward, like if they decide to go another way and make another Ghostbusters, I think they could. That scene was so pivotal and so good that I feel like they could cut ties with the original guys, and people wouldn't feel bad because I felt like that was a beautiful send off, and I felt like that was amazing.
It was a great way to honor Harold Ramis, because he was an amazing. I loved him as an actor. I thought he was great. And obviously, I didn't see many of the Saturday Night things, the Saturday Night Live skits, but I've seen some of the things, and some of the ones I have seen I quite enjoy, sort of thing. But he was good. He was very good.
I know.
But yeah.
So
all right. Okay. So that's your number 10.
I've just been
told.
told.
I can't wait to hear the next one.
I've been told that the original is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is his original name, so we must get that.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow.
Number 9, I had the creatures from The Descent.
The Descent.
Have you seen that? So The Descent was taken in caves. So it was a movie about caves, and these group of, I'm guessing, teenagers, kind of cave people, went in there trying to search this cave, and they found these sort of humanoid cave dwellers. Yeah. Such a good film. So they're like these, like really freaky white skin. They have like ultrasonic hearing, where they've got like almost echolocation. They've got claws.
Yeah, because they've adapted to be in the thing, and it's a very horror-ish monster. I quite like that. Yeah. I haven't watched the movie yet because
your video has just killed me. Oh no, there it is. It's back.
There we go. That's all right. We're gonna work through this today, but yeah, I haven't seen the movie itself, but the movie is freaky as fuck. I do want to watch it at some point.
It's definitely worth a watch if you guys haven't seen it. It's called The Descent. So I've just googled it here, and they're supposedly their official name is Crawlers.
Crawlers. Okay. All right.
So yeah, but they've got like this echolocation, and it is like the movie is freaky. Like there's a lot of jump scares. There's a lot of things. It's kind of awesome, and it is a really good film. I do believe they may have made a second one, which looks like they made it on Kickstarter, but it's understandable.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So number 8, I had a movie that I love more than anything. Sharknado.
I just knew you were going to stick this stupid ass movie in the bloody thing.
I don't care. I was gonna put it number 1 just to piss off the entire world.
God.
But to be fair, people are fascinated with sharks. I feel like we have Shark Week. We have all these different things. There's a fear of sharks ever since Jaws came out. And to be fair, honorable mention to Jaws, because Jaws is just a badass. But you think about it, you're on land. You see a tornado coming for you. Not just a tornado, but it's flinging sharks at you. That has to be the coolest monster ever.
It's not a monster. It's a natural weather event. It's not a monster.
When was the last time you heard the what is it, the bomb as they call it, which is the Bureau of Meteorology, go, be on the lookout for a sharknado. It's a monster.
It's
sharks
a monster.
In a tornado.
It's not a monster. It's not a monster. It's not a monster. I'm sorry. I will fight you on this point. And people,
so
I want people. No, hang on. I want people to comment whether Sharknado is a monster or not, because it's not a monster.
It is.
It's a freak weather event that happens to pick up a thing of sharks.
It's Sharknado.
It's not
Sharknado.
It's not a monster. Right? Okay. Can we have the next one before I get angry?
Okay. So number 7. So obviously you've got 2 honorable mentions, so you can put in this one. But I had, and I love this. I love these movies more than I should. Think Tremor, the Graboids.
How dare you? You didn't even make the top 5. Oh, Dez.
Oh no, sorry. No, sorry. That was number 6. Oh, I'm sorry. That was number 6. No,
right,
number 7.
What's number 7 then?
No, number 7. Sorry, number 7. I glossed over that. Was Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. He's a monster, technically.
Get out. Stitch
He's a monster.
Stitch is a prize. He deserves to be in the top 5 at least. I haven't got him in mind, but still.
I haven't got him in mind. He's a power. He's literally he's
Yes,
indestructible. And he can.
I will give you Stitch. Stitch is a monster, and he is a movie
Stitch was
monster.
number 7. Stitch
Yes.
was number 7, and then Graboids was number 6. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, Graboids.
Yeah, Graboids was number 6. I fucking love those movies. I've seen all the Tremors, including when they just went like. Obviously, you had Kevin Bacon as in the first one, and then they just went. You know that crazy gun-toting guy from I think it was like some early '80s old school sitcom. I think it was Growing Pains or something. All of a sudden, then they made the movies about him, and it was ridiculous. But yeah, Graboids I love. They were definitely number 6. So
Okay.
what were your 2 honorable mentions?
Right,
Because
my
that was-
2
they were
honorable
technically
mentions.
6.
Right, my 2 honorable mentions. So firstly, I had the Megalodon from the Meg.
Oh, okay.
Now,
I
the
didn't
reason
think of
why I
that
said
in him.
the reason why I said it's an honorable mention is because I don't class it as a monster. Because if we're
an
talking,
animal.
because it's an animal and all that jazz, and it just so happens to when you look at monster movies, it comes up there, but it's not. This isn't a monster to me. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, when I think of a monster movie, I think of a monster. Like obviously, this
Like,
is
like
a
something like
don't get me
something in
wrong.
something in the title,
Yeah, but
like
some,
Sharknado.
yeah, that's not it's not a monster, Des. It's not a monster.
I just googled monster movies and Sharknado came up.
Sharknado is not a
obviously-
monster movie, and I don't care. You cannot convince me. It is not a monster. I don't care.
According to Google, I typed in monster movies. I'll do it again, and Sharknado is on there.
But God's sakes, this you really wind me up at times. But
It's true.
But yeah, it's the Meg. I think the Meg is a good movie, but it's not a monster movie. But I see why
Yes.
people call it a monster movie because it is a monster of a shark. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But it's not a monster. I don't care, and no one can convince me otherwise. I'm sorry, but that was my first honorable mention. The second one is the Colossal Titan from Attack on Titan, the movie, which
Okay. I haven't seen
really bombed. Which, now,
that. Oh, really?
I love the anime, apart from the last season because it felt rushed and everything else to close it out. But you know, when they said they were doing a live action, I thought, oh, this would be great if they can get three movies on it. You know, it condenses down all this because I think there's like 4 seasons, and we're talking like 30 episodes per season. You know, we're talking about a lot of material to draw from. So I was like, great. They could easily make 3 movies, condense it down a bit, make it more relatable, and it'll be fabulous. Because when you see the anime, I think it's the anime, the first episode, you see the Colossus Titan, and this thing towers over the wall. It's even in the anime, it looks good, and I thought this is going to be awesome. And the monster movie version, or the live action version, was atrocious.
Really?
It was so bad because they drew on all the goofy end of the material rather than the more sort of based in thing. It was a bit weird. It just didn't work in my opinion at all. And yeah, so that was my honorable mention. Now, I class the Titans as monsters. Yes, I don't care because it requires a magic thing to make him a Titan.
I like
weird.
that he doesn't. He's okay with that, but then Sharknado is like not a monster.
Sharknado is not a monster. It's a tornado that's picked up a school of shark. That's all it has.
So then what about so then a Meg's just like a just
yeah,
a
and then Meg I don't class
shark.
as a monster. That's fine. It's just an ancient shark. That's fine.
They're considered a monster film. I'm just saying.
It's not. So yeah, so those are my 2 honorable mentions. So now we're down to our top 5s.
Top 5.
And I'm
So
sure we're
the
both going to
actual
fall
part.
out over this sort of thing.
I don't mind. I'm having fun with it because there's a few of mine that I know that probably aren't considered as much, but
So
I kind of
Should we
like
do
it.
it
But yeah.
R5s, R4s, or do you want to do your list and my list?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Do 5s and 4s so
Okay.
we can.
All right. So
So you go first because I've already had like 5.
okay. All right. So my number 5 is Starro from the Suicide Squad movie. Now,
Starro.
Starro,
the giant starfish.
the giant starfish thing that can take over people's minds. Now, hear me out. I know. I can feel the keyboard warriors typing.
I was going to say, and
I-
Sharknado is not a monster. Mhm.
Yeah,
And he's going with like a giant
A giant
purple
It's a
starfish.
giant space starfish. All right, for a start off, it's not a starfish.
Okay.
It's a space starfish. Get it right. Now,
Okay.
I think now I liked the Suicide Squad movie, which I know is
Yes, I did too.
that's a controversial opinion on the internet of whether it was
No,
actually a
because
good movie or
no,
not.
but that was the second one. That was the James Gunn one.
Yes,
A lot of
yes.
people are more up in the arms around the original one.
Oh yeah, no, the original, I saw promise in it, and I really did. The problem I have with it is that, of course, the James Gunn ones come out, and they've tried to basically rebrand it and make it its own, but they've still stuck the same Harley Quinn and the same Colonel, whatever his face is, in it.
Captain Boomerang.
Was Boomerang in it? Oh, he died.
For a little bit.
He died. Yeah, he died.
Yeah, he died. Like,
Yeah.
they killed him off straight away.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I think that's where they kind of went wrong, in my opinion, with certain things. But overall, I think Starro is a good It's quite a good monster. It's big. It's imposing. You know, you got this history about it where they find it in space and all this jazz, and then it lands and all this crap. I think it's quite good. I quite like it, sort of thing. And in terms of a DC monster, it's quite good, sort of thing. Especially as it was in the original, I think it was in one of the original Justice League comics. I think it might be the first one that they formed the Justice League. I can't remember, but
I'm just gonna nod and smile.
I always liked Starro as a monster, and I thought it was quite cool. But I know some people might call it a monster because it's an alien, but I don't care. I don't take liberties with this. so that
I was gonna say when everybody looks up and there's a giant starfish doing things, I'm pretty much sure someone's gonna go,
yes.
"Oh my god, look at the monster!" Excuse me, it's actually an alien.
It's actually an
Can you
alien,
get it right?
technically. Oh no, there will be someone. There'll be someone like that. No, I believe this is an alien. He'll have an anorak and glasses.
Its pronouns are starfish. That's what I'm waiting on. Somebody to come out and go, "No, it's this."
So that's my number
Sorry.
5. That's my number 5. So what's yours?
So my number 5 might be also a little bit controversial, and I don't know if it's powerful, but I kind of think was the Predator. Also alien-esque.
Oh, all right, okay.
Like you think about it, that amount of tech. Like I get that they pretty much die after everything, but they constantly evolve. Those giant blades, like the gun where obviously Thingo, like of course he's impervious to mud. Like mud seems to be his downfall, but other than that, like he's like
the most common thing found in the world, mud.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what have we got? We've got water, we've got dirt. Ha! Fuck the Predator. But I do think it's such a badass thing, and I feel like especially after, like, I think it was our second episode, we actually did a thing on Prey, which we all loved.
Yes.
But it's just such a cool monster. It's technologically advanced. It's just badass, and I kind of like it. I like that it keeps learning and then just goes, now let's go on another hunting thing, and we'll relearn that.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. So I put that in at number 5.
Yeah, I like the Predator. I'll tell you now, it's in my top 5. I'm not gonna tell you where, but it's in my top 5, and I'll
You see, I almost put it at number 4 because I'm gonna go straight into it because I put my top 5 as the Xenomorph Queen, and obviously aliens from there.
So, number 4 is the Xeno Queen.
Yeah.
She didn't
Just
make
because
my
I-
list. She
I
didn't even make the list. I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay. Xenomorph Queen,
think it's-
yes, but I think there are better aliens.
I think there are.
The problem is we've not seen all of because the problem is there's been video games and everything else, and I think there are better aliens in my opinion. Like the dog.
But I think
the dog alien's quite cool from number 3.
Yeah, but I think that because they all kind of come out of her, it's kind of
Yeah.
like all the like. I'm just thinking aliens in general, like that. All those aliens, I think, are great, and I think I kind of slotted that in because I kind of went Xenomorph Queen has little baby aliens that fuck shit up. They got pet puppies that fuck shit up. So in my mind, I kind of went aliens. That aliens franchise, all those monsters were kind of cool.
Yeah, well that makes sense. My number 4 is the Rancor from Star Wars. So Return of the Jedi.
As in that giant monster
the
that
gigantic
dude throws a rock at.
Yes. No, he doesn't throw a rock at it. He throws a rock and does
He
the
throws a
door
rock
thing.
at
at the door thing
He's
to
like,
get killed
I'm
by the door.
big, I'm brutish. I've
Now,
just ripped something off, and then
I
he just
will
picks up a
tell
rock
you,
and goes.
In this slot, I was debating between the Rancor and the Sarlacc from Star Wars.
So the Sarlacc is so much cooler.
No, it's not. For a start, right? Okay, for a start off, if Boba Fett can escape it, I'm sorry, it's not that good, is it? So
Okay, so
if the Rancor had chowed down on Boba Fett, he dead. The Sarlacc,
If he hadn't have picked up a rock and thrown it at a fucking thingo because he was standing right underneath the door.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like he come out and he's like, oh god, he's just torn 2 people over. We'll throw Luke down there, and Luke just goes. And then it slams him on the head. Can you imagine being digested over centuries? That's kind of badass. I feel like that's better than fucking Captain Pebble over there. It's just like, I'm going to stand directly under the door and some dude's going to pick up a rock. Like, seriously, your number 4 got defeated by the pet rock.
No,
so my number 3 has now been changed to the pet rock. Why? Because it beat Jordan's number 4.
No, right, for a start, right, hang on. For a start off, right, okay, I feel like the problem is that, of course, when the Rancor officially came out on the movie, we're talking, what, 80-something?
78, 70,
no.
83, I think that one was.
Okay, since then, obviously, there's been video games and everything else have been released, and suddenly you get to see how quick the sods can move and do all this shit, like, you know, when, with all the lore and
my
stuff...
pet rock at number 3. Mm-hmm.
When they're not confined in a bloody cave, they're terrifying. Because I've played the bloody... which game was it? What's the one where you played Darth Vader's Secret Apprentice? That one.
Force Awake? No.
No. Yeah, you know, that's that one. And there's one where you land on the plant planet, and suddenly there's suddenly Forest Rancor, and he bursts out the jungle. It's like, Jesus! You know. So suddenly, you know, Rancors, I rank. So I chose the Rancor over the Sarlacc pit because I think the Sarlacc pit sucks. Quite frankly, I think, you know. And to be fair, I did want to choose the Great Sand Dragon, but that's not been in a movie. That's only been in the Mandalorian TV series from Tatooine. You know, the big.
That would still count, would it?
No, it's not been in a bit. No, we're talking about movies. So we need, you know. Sort of thing. So, but I would have, if I had to choose a Tatooine monster, I would have chosen the Great Sand Dragon, whatever they call it. The thing that breathes bloody acid fire and all that crap. That thing would great.
Yeah, that was badass.
That was sweet. So
yes.
that would have easily took over both of them in the slot. But anyway, so I went with the Rancor. So yeah. All right then. So go on. Let's say your number 3 then. Come on, I'm interested now.
A pet rock.
Pet rock. Fuck you in the pet rock. Give me a real number 3.
It destroys your number 4. It was the... Oh, what was it? It was... Oh, God, I've just gone off the sheet. Now I can't find it. Oh, my number 3 was King Kong. Sorry.
King Kong. Okay. All right.
I just like the giant monkey. I was gonna really piss you off and go for the monkey from Rampage, just because I know that would wind you up because you hated that movie. But I don't know. King Kong, I feel like I don't know if he's in there as the most powerful. I think he's in there because he's iconic, and I think I just love the giant
he's got
monkey.
Intelligence, he's got strength and stuff like that. You know, he's kind of a well balanced one.
And,
now,
and
as a question, do you have a particular King Kong?
Oh,
because obviously you have
Peter Jackson, 2005.
Oh dear Lord, please say no. Oh God,
I know. No, I wanted that one because I knew you'd hate it the most.
Oh my God, no, please, dear Lord.
Yeah, I know. The one where he's just kind of friendly and he's like, "Oh, g'day, lady."
G'day, lady.
No, I don't know. I didn't really pick a particular King Kong. I just went over him as a monster as a whole. I felt, and I just kind of like King Kong.
Right.
But he was kind of cool versus Godzilla. And then he was kind of cool in the 1933 original where he climbed up the mountain. Climbed up the Empire State Building and then just waved at people. Where you've got the little strings and the little planes driving around.
I remember watching the original, because I used to love watching the Kaiju movies.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the original Godzilla versus King Kong, and of course it ends in a draw because no one wanted, especially out of Japan, no one wanted to spoil who is stronger
Yeah.
argument, because they knew they could always come back to it. So it's just like,
Well, I was
so they
almost
both fall into the
gonna put him as
ocean.
number 2.
Yeah, but yeah,
Because I almost put it at number 2 because it has something that most of these monsters
okay,
don't have.
all right,
Opposable thumbs.
okay. Well,
But yeah, he was my number 3.
all right. Well, my number 3 was the Graboids from Tremors. Now,
Oh, really? That high?
Now, yes, now. The reason why I like the Graboids is one, the movie
Of Screamer Island, the 5th one I think it was, where they actually had like flying ones and
there's a
different things
5th
like that.
one. I know
There's
there's
6.
I know there's oh my god, I know there's 3
No,
of them.
there's
But yeah.
6.
So yeah, the fact is that of course, one, they're the base level and they obviously evolve as well. So suddenly we
Yes.
get ones that can walk and then ones that are so what? There's flying ones. Oh, God.
Yeah, there's flying ones, and they scream. They're called screamers, and they come and they scream.
But yeah, I mean, I loved Tremors as a movie. I thought it was so good, and the sequel was good as well. I like the sequel as well.
I do apologize. There's actually 7. I've seen all of them. So there's Tremors 2, which is Aftershocks, Tremors 3, which is I think it's Back to Perfection.
Yeah.
Tremors 4, which is The Legend Begins, which weirdly has the same guys in it, like in regards to the old dude gun-toting guys, but it's set as an old western.
Oh, okay.
So it has, I think, what's his name? Michael Gross, I'm going to say. I think he was like from Family Matters or something like that.
Was he the grumpy old sod? The grumpy old guy?
Yeah, he was a grumpy old sod, but he came back in. Oh no, he was Family Ties with Michael J. Fox. He was the father, that's right.
All right.
And then but then they brought him back for Tremors 4, which was called The Legend Begins, which was the first Tremors back in the Wild West. Then there was an 11 years hiatus where we all thought we're never getting any more Tremors, and it was sad. But then they brought back Tremors 5 Bloodline.
Nice.
So you're like, okay, so this is where they're trying to find the Bloodline to blow it up, and it also has, what's his name? It also has, he was big back then. Oh, Jamie Kennedy as his son, or Jamie Kennedy as his son. It's like a comedian kind of thing. And then it was Tremors: A Cold Day in Hell. And then in 2020 they bought Shrieker's Island, where I believe somebody reinvented Tremors, and then they put them to this island so you could hunt them.
Right.
And yeah,
Because
and
what
it
could
was,
possibly
it
go
was,
wrong with a creature that can evolve and all this crap?
yeah, and yeah, it's supposedly is kind of funny. I don't know,
But
it's just kind of funny.
I always liked. I mean, I remember watching the original. I thought this was quite cool because this could theoretically be an actual thing. You know,
Yeah,
you could have this thing that actually lives underground and does hunt, and it was been the age of the dinosaurs and all this crap. You know, I just thought it was great as a kid. That's the reason why I've got it. I've got it that high up as number 3. I really.
to be fair though, it is cool, and if it was just from what we liked, I feel like Tremors would have been a lot further up there because I've watched all 7 and I love them. But
I feel like I need to have
a
a marathon Tremors event now.
Oh mate, they're great, and they just get more ridiculous, and I love them.
Oh,
but,
even better. That's the best. That's the only reason I want to watch it, because of the ridiculousness of it. Sort of thing.
Oh, wait, there may be some news on Tremors 8. Shrieker's Island is
I'm
no
going to turn on
official
my
talk.
light to make sure people can see my beautiful face.
Oh, is that what it is?
There we go. Bit brighter now.
Yes.
But yeah.
But yes, so yeah, unfortunately, there is rumors that there could be a Tremors 8, but they're not sure. And Michael Gross has been said that there is still the door is still open.
The door is still open. The door won't shut. He needs the
know.
royalty checks.
Oh mate. Well, to be fair though, he's probably making a fair bit off all that. But yeah, Tremors, I feel like if it was off if it was purely just off a fun kind of thing, I feel like Tremors would be a lot more be a lot more higher up there because it is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm with you on that. All right then, should we go to number 2s? What's your number 2?
Number 2, I put this mainly just because it's my favorite kind of monster movie. I don't think it's powerful at all, but it's Hellboy.
Ooh, now
Ron Perlman Hellboy, not that piece of fucking hot garbage that came out afterwards.
What's
like,
wrong with the
Hellboy.
Tom Hardy version? What's wrong with it?
No, not Tom.
Was it
Tom
Tom
Hardy.
Hardy?
It was it was a dude from Stranger Things. David Harbour.
Oh, hang on.
Like he was cool, but I'm like, it's like, what do the fans want? Hellboy 3. What do we get him? A remake that's shit. You're like, oh. So yeah,
I
so
will. I will admit that the Ron Perlman one was cool. I did like the Ron
Yes.
Perlman era. It sort of had that swag that was always quite good.
Yeah, and it just kind of had that. I don't know. For me, I loved it, and it was just something special. It was a character that just connected with me from day one. Then you add in obviously Doug Jones as Abe Sapien, and
Oh, we've lost. Hang on. Whoa. We've lost audio.
oh,
Oh,
there we go.
There we go. Right.
We're back.
We're back.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I
Abe
won't lie. Like
Sapien. That's
Hellboy
where I
was
lost
just
you.
yeah. So Hellboy with Ron Perlman. Then you obviously you had Doug Jones as Abe Sapien, and then you had Selma Blair, who was kind of like Fire Lady. I don't know what her actual title was, but it was just badass. And I feel like it was just a character that connected with me. I loved it. They brought out the second one and they brought in the dude from Bros. You remember that band from back in the early 90s and 80s?
Yeah.
Bros. Obviously, he became one of the brothers. Obviously, has gone on to acting and done a number of things, including weirdly, he did the the Death Race after Jason Statham got rid of it. He did the second one. So he kind of seems to be the guy because he actually does have like a martial arts background, and he's kind of a bit of a badass. He has then gone on and picked up a few roles afterwards, after Jason Statham and a few other people like that. So yeah. So what's his name? His name is, I can't remember his name. He did Death Race 2, 3, and 4. Luke Gross, weirdly, is his name.
Right.
Speaking of Gross. Yeah, so he was part of the Gross brothers with a Bros band. So if you ever get a chance to look that up, it is horrific. It couldn't be more 80s. These blonde, like brothers, sort of almost twin-looking things, kind of like Backstreet Boys. It was horrid.
Yeah.
But he is actually a pretty good actor, and he was obviously played the little gold elf in the second one. But I don't know, for some reason, I don't think it's the most powerful. I don't think it's the top monster, but I think it's very much loved.
I think, I love, I haven't even read many of the comics. I've only seen bits and bobs here and there, but I think Hellboy could have gone really well with the right cast.
Well, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the thing though, like fans were obsessed with it. And I know, obviously have, as I like to call him, Guerrilla del Toro, who is an amazing monster movie. I know I've always called him that because it just makes me happy. But I just feel like with him behind it, you had the greatest monster movies. You obviously had you had obviously Ron Perlman, who, let's be real, is just the ultimate badass. Then you had Doug Jones, who's probably one of the best character actors known to man. Obviously, so probably slowly followed by Andy Serkis, who does an amazing job.
I was about to say, hang on, we gotta give Andy Serkis his props there.
Well, the good thing about Andy Serkis is Andy Serkis does the voices and does that kind of things. Where Doug Jones is actually an ex-contortionist that gets then put into these obviously high-end makeups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And does it that way. So in my mind, Doug Jones is the best monster character actor when it's done in real life. Andy Serkis is the best capture actor because a lot of his stuff is done with the capture thing. So it is a different skill set.
Yes.
So not taking away from Andy Serkis, Andy Serkis is
we can happily agree on that's a good way to put it. I think that's a very good way.
Because he does motion capture. So for me, motion capture is very different and not put into the same thing. But I do think though that Doug Jones is amazing. Like obviously he played like 95% of the people in Pan's Labyrinth. He was in obviously Shape of Water, where I believe the movie won Academy Award. But he is insane.
That okay, The Shape of Water. Me and Ellie watched it, right, and it was okay. We didn't get all the hype. We understand. Obviously, I understand the concept of what was going on, of course.
Yes.
But we watched it and we're like, this isn't that good in comparison. Like, because obviously we'd heard everybody raving about it, and Ellie was like, "Well, this is a monster movie I'll happily try and watch with you," which is like few and far between. Let's go with that.
But it's
You know?
romantic.
And it was just like, to
It's
me,
romantic, man.
it just I didn't do anything at all, in my opinion. It really didn't. I didn't.
Come
I didn't.
on, mate.
Oh,
You're just not a romantic. You're just not a romantic soul, mate.
I am a romantic soul. I'm very romantic. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how to do all that jazz.
That doesn't make
I
you
know.
romantic. That just makes you.
It does, because I
domesticated.
basically don't make sure that my wife doesn't have to do anything. It's romanticizing. It's great.
Oh, okay.
Right. All right.
Hey,
so,
baby, you want to get romantic? I'm gonna wash the bathroom.
I'm gonna wash the dishes. Right. On my number 2.
Oh, there's women just getting moist listening to this, and I know that how much they love the word moist. So I had to.
Yeah, I was about to say
there's
because
girls just going,
that's what all women enjoy hearing, that word. Right. My number 2. My number 2. I went for Godzilla, and specifically, I went for Godzilla from King of the Monsters, rather than chubby Godzilla from the first.
I
movie.
love chubby Godzilla.
He was
He makes me so
He
happy.
was so stubby. It looks It's hilarious how we have. Obviously, it is a continuity, and it's like, damn, Godzilla went to the gym, bro. He went to the gym. He went fit.
Oh man,
he went from a he went from a thick boy to a fit boy, man. God,
I call him that. I went. I did call him that, like the King of Monsters and that, and then the other ones where I just call him Thick Godzilla.
He's thick Godzilla,
He's like,
and it is. And I'll tell you now, it would never have been that 1995 god awful attempt at bringing that back. That was the biggest disappointment of my life, is watching that crap with the CGI. God, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Amazing.
I know the CGI wasn't exactly amazing back in the days, but dear Lord, that was the best they could do. Are you kidding me? It was awful. Oh, anyway.
I loved it.
But anyway, so Godzilla from King of the Monsters specifically, mainly because it looks more like traditional, the original Japanese Godzilla with the spikes and everything, and it just looked good. It looked crisp. It looked clean. It was fabulous. In comparison to thick boy from the first one. I mean, don't get me wrong. This first bit where you see Godzilla in that thing where at the airport and they pan up and it looks great, but then suddenly it's like, damn, he looks a bit chubby. you
know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like when you see you see like a Tinder profile and the girl's like sitting there and they're like, yep. And then you see him in person, you're like, you don't look like your photos. And I'm like, yeah. That's what it reminded me of, where they've just like, they've panned up, or you've seen sex, she's like, ooh, girl, she's fine as hell. And then you see it and you're like, that's not what your pictures look like.
Yeah, but so specifically, I'm choosing from King of the Monsters onwards, because obviously he was the same model for, what was the last one? Godzilla vs. King Kong. Yeah, for the last one.
Yeah.
So that was my number 2. So yes, that's where we
were.
I
went with Godzilla number 1 just because I feel like at the end of the day, like there are so many monsters, there's so many powerful monsters, there's so many things, but nothing's as iconic as Godzilla in a monster movie. He is, in a way, probably, like, there's more powerful ones, there's ones that I think are cooler than Godzilla, but for me, I feel like there's not one monster movie. There's not one, like, you can't say monster movie without thinking of Godzilla. And I feel like it's just because it's iconic. I feel like there's a reason why I feel like he's probably number 1 on a lot of people's, or if not in the top 3, is because he's just so iconic. And I'm nominating Thick Boy Godzilla just because it's fucking more funny and it's going to pick up Jordan. But I just feel like as a whole, I don't think there's another character that has done monsters so perfectly, or that has kept the longevity. Because I think the first one was in the early 1900s, like
Yes.
I think the first Godzilla movie was 1918, maybe. Gonna guess.
Hang on. Do you want me to?
I'm googling it.
I'm Google. Let's say this will make good listening for the podcast people. 1954.
Oh, really?
Gojira.
Well, anyway,
was the first one.
Yeah.
And then it goes.
Think about it. So that's 70 years of not just being something, but like for example, Big J, who I've mentioned on the podcast before, one of my best mates, who I lived with, went to Thingo. He loves Godzilla, and for it to have a 70-year lifespan, continue to evolve, continue to capture, continue to capture audiences, not just in the West, but in the East as well.
Yep.
Like, I feel like there's not many things that have done that. And though he may
Oh, we've lost audio. Whoop.
not be the most powerful, though the girl's thick as hell.
So you know, we
My
just
audio's
lost a little
fine,
bit
so I
of
don't know what's
audio.
happening.
Your Australian internet kicked in. Fabulous for it.
Oh, as it does.
But yeah.
No, but I feel like, yeah. But I swear to God, like, and the girl's thick as hell. So what's not to love about Godzilla? Like, he's
Yeah.
a hot single lady, a hot single lady. And I feel like that's why he's my number one. At the end of the day, there are more powerful monsters. There's some of the monsters in my list that had it just been my favorite, I probably would have moved up. Like, I feel like Tremors would have moved up a little bit. Lilo and Stitch would have moved up a bit just because it's adorable. And Sharknado would have been number one.
Well,
If we were going off just pure fun.
my number one is the Predator. Now,
That makes sense.
now,
I'm not against
yeah,
that.
I know. Now, specifically, if I'm choosing a Predator, it's Predator from the second.
Alien versus Predator.
No. It's the Predator from the second.
The one
movie.
with Danny Glover.
Yes, I love.
Really?
Because the problem. The first one was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good,
Yes.
but it looked a little bit. You know, obviously not the prostate. You know, the face of them all pretty much stayed the same, but it just looked a bit. Didn't look as imposing as the second one. The second one looked sleeker because obviously it was an urban environment and all that. It looked like it was meant to be there as a killing machine, and it looked fabulous. Yeah. Now, if you told me to pick out of all the Predators we've ever seen, I would actually say probably Prey was the best one, and that's only because he looked.
That's one that I would have called.
Yeah,
that was one where he looked beefy. He
looked beefy.
powerful.
He looked good, but in a modern day thing, I think imagine if we could have took that and modernized it a bit more, that would have looked sick. I think.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what I think was so good about it is that it was a very stripped back Predator, where we didn't have as many of the fancy gadgets, we didn't have as much of the guns, but it was just this. It just felt like he came across with this raw power of just strength, of agility, of things, and I'm like, he's kind of badass. But yeah, I do think though that had we take that Predator and been able to give him obviously I'm guessing it was Vietnam War era when they were in the first one.
Yeah, the first one was
where they went to LA and went to Harlem, or where they went to Compton, straight out of Compton. And I wanted him just to have like a Cribs or a blood bandana. But yeah, I do think Predator is kind of badass.
I think Predator is badass. I mean, it went off. It has gone off the rails. It went off the rails. Especially with the Aliens versus Predator. I mean, the problem is that we all wanted that so badly because we knew it's in the same universe.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, but then said, we're going to set it in in current times. No.
And then not even that.
We all want it in the future with the colonial marines. That's what we want. Stop trying to give us, we're going to develop the story. No.
But you know what's funny too though is you could have had those two just go at each other and not had any humans. Like, why do we? And I said that. Oh, who was it? I said that to somebody, and I was like, I liked the film where it was Alien versus Predator, but I'm like, why did we need people? People didn't need to be in this. Like, is it just because we needed some kind of dialogue?
Well,
like,
no,
to be fair, you could have those two fighting. Like, you could have a group of predators trying to take out a group of aliens with literally no talking or a little bit of subtitles when they click and stuff, and not had a single line of dialogue. And as long as there was enough action in it, people would fucking love it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you literally just added random people for the sake of like, we need some story, and we need for us to have a story, we need talking. No, just make it badass. Just shit getting destroyed. Like an hour and a half of just do like an hour and a half action sequence.
Well, this is the
I guarantee people would have eaten it up.
This is the thing, is that we know because obviously back in the day there was Alien comics and Predator comics and all that stuff. And the fact is that we know that they can speak to each other. They can't speak to each other. But the fact is that aliens can communicate. We know this. Yeah. So the fact they could have gotten around it in 1,000 different ways, but I'm sure subtitles would have ended up happening. And then likewise with the Predators, they could have done it the same way. But the problem is they're like, oh no, people don't want to read subtitles. And I get it. There are some people who are like, no, subtitles, and I'm not watching it.
Yes.
You know, and I know a few people are. But the fact is, we don't cater to those people. Those people aren't there for the movie. The people who want that movie are the people who are going to sit there and go, oh my god, this is so good. Because all you have to do is have Predators turn up to a hive world where
exactly. How cool would that have been? Yeah. And then not had like fucking a few people sprinkled out because we're like, we need some dialogue. No,
Yeah.
we don't.
Yeah.
I just want a Predator going, all right, Barry. All right, Trevor. What you say we go fuck these guys up? Yeah, let's do it. And they just go up, and they're just like
Yeah.
these English like people. That'd just be funny. But like, I'm like, that would be cool because like it would literally be
Yeah.
like an hour and a half action sequence with a few subtitles and just shit going
yeah,
off.
or the predators stalking and planning. I just, you could do it so well. They could. The problem is that I already know no studio in Hollywood would sign that off. They'd be like, hang on, so
Lionsgate, we're looking at you. Lionsgate, do it.
Who were we casting for this? Well, we got this person playing Predator, blah blah blah, and this blah blah, and blah blah blah. All right, and who are we having as the humans? No, there's no humans in this. No, it'll be shut down. They would not let it run. The producers.
You think about it right too, though. Is you make a few costumes. You literally have a few things play out. You spend a whole heap of money on sci-fi. You would not have to pay like Robert Downey Jr. like $1 million, like $200 million to do it. You'd save so much on wages. Why not give it a go? Like, I reckon other than the special effects side of things, which could cost a fair bit, but even if special effects cost you $30-40 million, I actually feel like you could probably make this for at most $50 million.
I mean,
throw it out and see what happens.
I mean, from the original game, because obviously the Alien versus Predators things comes from the original game. Now, the reason why you have the Marines in there is obviously because the aliens have to get to the Marines to kill them to become the full. Because in the game, you start off as a what do they call
Barry.
it? What do they call it? That one, facehugger. Facehugger. There we go.
Oh,
So you start off as a facehugger in the game, but you got to find either a predator or a marine.
One word sounds like two.
Yeah, I know. But yeah,
That's what I'm like.
you got to find a predator or a marine to incubate, and then they die, and then you become either a
cool,
pred
actually.
alien or a pred alien or a normal alien. So, even though, but the pred aliens are stronger and all that crap. So you kind of. But of course, the predators can track facehuggers, so you've got to be really sneaky in the game. So far, that. But yeah, so that's the reason why they tend to have humans in it, because obviously, and plus we're more, we want so and so to survive. But I reckon, no offense, you could easily get away, because the fact is we know the hive worlds exist, and hives have a queen, and then there's a hierarchy to the planet and all that crap. And it's like, that's the movie we want to see, but we'll never get it. Sadly.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just like, that'd be sick. But yeah, no, I won't lie. Like, I think Predator definitely deserves it. He's been up there for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, again, like you, I probably wouldn't have put him at number one, but he does deserve top 5 easy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact because watching the original movie, just this unknown thing, and the fact is you hear about this all the time with old war stories and all this about. Yeah. Like a platoon comes along and finds like a massive massacre, and it's like, who was out in front of us? Nobody. Well, who did this? And this is where
nobody.
This is where all these cryptid, apparent ancient monsters myths come from, don't they? Because something's happened, and then it's like, all these stories are born from it, and it's like,
that just reminds me. The what is it called now? I can only remember. The Wendigo or whatever it is, like it's like a half dog, half man kind of thing.
Wendigo.
Is it Wendigo?
A Wendigo.
Yeah.
A Wendigo. Yeah.
Sorry, because my friend was telling us this story about this movie about this, and the reason why I can never remember the name is because I just remember this story and it makes me laugh. But he obviously was going through this movie and about how it was cool and how about this thing does this and this thing does this and then these guys get killed this way and stuff. But the whole time he was saying this, I couldn't breathe because he was calling it a Winnebago. and I'm like, sorry, what was it? He's like, the Winnebago. It's like a half man, half dog kind of thing. And I'm like, what? And now every time I say the story, every time I think of the creature, I've got to think about it because I'm like, I have to say it. But the only thing that comes up is the Winnebago.
So it's not half man, half RV.
Yeah, I know. He's like, yeah. He cleans out the toilet trap that's actually acid and just wipes out the planet around him. Like, it was just funny. But he was going into it. And the worst thing was, there was about 5 people at the table that were intently listening. And I was like, don't get me wrong. He's like the way he's telling the story, the movie sounds fascinating. but I can't help hearing a half man, half Winnebago running around just killing people. And the worst thing is it makes the video sound so much better. I'm like, I want Sci-Fi Channel to do a Winnebago, like a where Winnebago movie or something. But oh my god.
Oh yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's...
And Winnebago.
Oh,
It just makes me happy.
so
But
funny.
no, I do think. Like the top 5, there were a few that we did. Like I think some of the honorable mentions should probably be obviously Anaconda, because though Ice Cube and Jay-Z killed it, there have been like 5 movies, and I just love the Anaconda series because it's stupid. Lake Placid, which is always fun, giant crocodile with Betty White in it.
Yeah,
Kind of funny.
yeah, no.
Well, to be fair, they don't deserve it. But to be fair, I think
one thing I
Pacific
saw...
Rim monsters.
Yeah, I mean the kaiju from Pacific Rims are all quite good, but they're not named, sort of thing. So
I know.
But the one thing I always found funny is when you look at all these lists of because I've seen a couple of other lists, is The Thing tends to be up there. And
I didn't.
And the problem, all right, I mean, I'm sure we're about to piss off some form of cult, but I never rated the Thing movie at all.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you got to watch it, So they say, I watched it once. Do I want to watch? I just, I mean, I'm assuming at the time, I think it's one of those movies that you had to be the right age in the right setting, and then suddenly, yes, it's a great movie. But I was like, nah, I watched it and I was like, I don't get it.
Because I wrote my list of things that I liked, and then I also Googled a little bit just to find a few things, and I think it was, what's it called? It was the number 1 on one of them, and I was like, really, The Thing? Is it? I don't know, but yeah. So I've just got it here. It says, and then I've found it on another site where it's ranked number 2, and it's got The Thing has got the whole monster competition rigged. A shape-shifting alien with the ability to synthesize and morph into the DNA of any of its victims means that The Thing has a unique ability to become anyone's worst nightmare at any moment, made even more harrowing by John Carpenter's horrific and grotesque practical special effects. I'm like, that's cool, but like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm in full agreement with you on that. But yeah,
I'm like, yeah.
So,
like, yeah, I'm like, I'd much rather, you know what I'd rate above that?
What?
Jeff Goldblum in The Fly.
Yeah, no, I think you would,
and it does nothing. It's a giant fucking fly.
It does nothing. It was a. I mean, to be fair, don't get me wrong, that was a good movie to watch. But once you watch it once, like, that's it. I mean, to be fair, Species is more terrifying to watch. And that's not a great movie either. But anyway,
and at our age, we became men after watching Natasha Henstridge in that film.
Ooh, definitely. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it there for today because I've just realised how long we've been recording for, and I've got to edit this week. So hell no, we're not.
Oh, in that case, then I've got a massive story that I want to tell.
That's it. We're cutting it there. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you very much for following us. If you do enjoy our podcast, you can follow us on all our socials via Twitter and YouTube. They are linked in the description boxes on various podcast forums and everything else. We are also available on all good podcast forums at the moment from Amazon, Google, and Spotify. So if you can send us any love via that, let us know. But apart from that, best way to get in touch with us.
And OnlyFans at Dorks Down Under.
No OnlyFans just yet. No
Jesus Christ, man. To be fair, I would hate to start someone. I'd hate to start one, and I would hate for anybody to sign up, especially if we have to actually start making content. Oh, God help us all.
God help us indeed. So anyway.
That's right. We can have a Dorks Down Under, like, calendar.
Yes, because people want to see this. I don't think so.
Shirtless, greased up on their wall for 12 months.
Trust me, that's not on the cards, I don't think. Much love, people.
We need merch. We need calendar merch.
We're not doing calendar merch. Right.
If you want to see Magic Jordan,
we are not doing calendar merch.
Put it in the comments.
We are not doing
Magic Jordan, and if we can get enough, we'll get him on a calendar.
Hashtag Magic Jordan, my ass. Much love, people.
You could make the next one. There's a new Magic Mike XXL. We could be in that. We're XXL.
Goodbye, people. Enjoy yourselves. Much love. Bye bye. Mwah. Good evening. Good night. And good evening. Bye bye bye.